Naishi Shaktir Mahadevi na paratrashito riyata. This Supreme God consciousness of anupaya is not embodiment of energy, because this state of God consciousness of anupaya samviti is not dependent to some other agency. Naishi Shaktir Mahadevi, this Supreme God consciousness is not Shakti, because it is not dependent to some other Shiva element. Shakti is always dependent to Shiva. If you call this anupaya samviti Shakti, you can't say that it is anupaya samviti Shakti, because it is not dependent to Shiva. Shakti is dependent to Shiva. Naishi Shaktiman Deva, this is not Shiva also. You can't explain it as Shiva also, because na kasyapa, this is not ashraya of some other energy, some basis of other energy. Shiva is basis of Shakti. So it is not basis of any other agency. There is no other agency existing. Naishi Deya, this is not Deya, this is not meditative point. You can't meditate on it. You can't meditate on anupaya samviti, because dhatri bhava, there is no meditator for that. No dhyata, this is not meditator. This is not the state of meditated also, because deya varjanat, there is no meditated. There is no meditated point. No puja, this is not worshipped. This anupaya samviti is not worshipped. This can't be worshipped. Puja ka bhava, there is no worshipper. Worshipper is not existing there. Puja bhavat na puja ka. And this anupaya samviti is not worshipper, because there is no worship. Worship is not existing there. No mantra. This is not the recitation of mantra. This is not mantra, the state of mantra. This is not mantra. This is not that personality for whom this mantra is recited. For instance, you recite mantra of Shiva, and the point is Shiva there. Here nothing, there is no point. How can mantra take place? For whom mantra will be recited? Nacha mantriyata Prabhu. This Prabhu, this supreme independent energy of God consciousness is not mantriyata, is not reciter. No diksha, this is not initiation. Nor this is dikshaka, initiator. No dikshavan, nor this is the state of initiated. Sthana san nirodharg sandana vahanadikam visarjanantam nastyatra kartik karma kriyojyate. This supreme state of anupaya samviti is deprived, is away from karta, is away from karma, and is away from kriya. There is no adopter, there is no adopted, there is no adoption. Neither adopter, nor adopted, nor adoption. There is nothing existing. Karta karma kriyojyate. It is away from these three. So, to enter that state, there is no need of sthana. At the time of puja, first you give place for your deity, for your devata, Lord, that is sthana. Then you make him sit on that is asana. Then you nirodha, restrain him, just wait, sir, I want to adopt worship for you. Arga, then offering respectable things to him. Then sandhana, then making him happy. Avahana, and calling him from his nature to get entry in your own hridaya. Then leaving him to enter in his own abode. Visarjananta. That is Visarjana. Avahana is the first, and last is Visarjana. Go to your home. I have done what I had to do. I have worshipped you. You go in your supreme abode of consciousness. And these aspects also are not existing in that state of God consciousness of anupaya, where there is nor kathā, not adopter, nor adoption, nor adopted.
What is the difference here between karma and kriya?
For instance, this is devata.
Yes.
I am sadhaka. I am adopter. I am kartri. Karma is devata.
Karma is devata?
Karma is devata there. You have made it object of your worship. Have you not?
Karma means action.
No, karma means object. Kriya means action. Kriya is action. Worship, worshipper and worshipped. Worshipped is karma. The one who is worshipped is karma. Worshipping is kriya. And worshipper is kathā. It is why we are misled in this supreme way of God consciousness, that being kathā, sadhaka is kathā. Sadhaka is real kathā, and he confirms that karma is kathā. God will give me everything. But God is karma. You have made it object. It is your object. Is it not object? You are worshipping God.
I see what you're saying. But then you have karma means karya, means act or action.
Karma means object, for whom you are adopting puja, for whom you are adopting worship, whom you are worshipping. I am worshipping God.
But God isn't karma, is
it? Of course. You have made him karma. So this is a wrong theory of the way. I am worshipping God. This is subject. I am subject. Worshipping is kriya. God is object. Your object is God. Being subject to, you want to enter in objective state, in the sphere of puja. So this puja is incorrect puja. This is not real puja. Real puja is pujanath nasti me tushtir, nasti khedo hepo pujanath, pujakair aivedena sada pujayati. Pujanam. Puja is, in fact, real worship is that when you are getting entry in worshipper, in the state of worshipper, not worshipped. Pujakair aivedena sada puja. You must get entry in worshipper, who you are existing already. You are the reality. Worshipped, it is not the reality.
What's the point of the object that you worship? What is the point of having an object to worship as God? If you're only entering your own...
This is anupaya, this is shaktopaya, this is shambhopaya. But this is anupaya we are discussing. In the world of anupaya, there is objective state is to be avoided. Only subjective state is maintained in inferior state of anupaya. And subjective state is already there in its real state.
But this gross form of worship, with preparation of sthana shuddhi, etc., that
is anupaya, very low anupaya. Na sat na cha sat sadasat na chitat no bayojitam durvigyeya hisavastha kimapetat anuttaram. This state of anupaya is not existing, is not non-existing. You can't say it is existing. If you say it is existing, non-existent elements are deprived. For instance, God consciousness is existing. To speak that, to say that God consciousness is already existing, it means that non-existing elements are deprived from God consciousness. Non-existing things are not God consciousness. It means that. How can you say that? Non-existing things also are God consciousness. One is God consciousness. So it is not existing. This state is not existing. This state is not existing. Na sat, na cha asat. Sat asat. You can't say both, that it is existing and at the same time non-existing. Na chitat no vayojitam. You can't say it is away from existing and non-existing elements. Durvigyaya hisavasa. This state of anupaya samviti is durvigyaya. It is not vigyaya. It can't be understood. If it is understood, it is not anupaya samviti. Who can understand it? This state of anupaya samviti is the state of understander. Understander, it is real? Huh? It is not understood. Huh? Pramatribhava. Kimapyetat anuttaram. This is anuttara state of God consciousness.
John and George and all of you, can you talk a little bit about anuttara and what this all means and what Swamiji's been talking about for 11 minutes?
Yeah. What he said at the end is very, very interesting, because in Vedanta, the supreme reality in Vedanta is Sat, Chit, Ananda. And Swamiji says in Shaivism, we don't recognize Sat. We only recognize Chit and Ananda, consciousness and bliss. Okay? The Sat, which he just pointed out, if you say the reality is existence, then non-existence is excluded. In this word anuttara, at the end here, 1 minute, just before we go into that, this is what Swamiji variously relates anuttara, this first word, as the supreme, or chit, consciousness, beyond explanation, anakya, the supreme self, is beyond supreme, incomparable and unparalleled. So it's, as I said, we've done this before, and we did Tatraloka too, but this was giving a whole idea that there's nothing you can do about it. It's the reality of Lord Shiva's existence as Lord Shiva, where he said at the end here, he is the understander. And even that is very mysterious.
So a person can't think that there's anything for him to do. Everybody wants to think, how can I practice? What can I do? How can I meditate and realize that state? And we're being told here that that's not possible. That all understandings that we have of that reality, or we think we have, they fall short. They don't, because it's it can't be spoken about or talked about in terms of language or words. It has to be experienced, and as the understander, that's why I said the understander. It's not understood or something to be gained. It's just the very nature of a reality, or your own reality. Even that's not proper to say. You can't say anything, actually. I think that's the point of this. The words, because words always have both sides of the coin, and so it's experience for the experience, huh?
Words fall short of explanation.
So every now and then, what Swamiji would do, just to make us realize that in the highest reality, there's nothing to be done. And he especially did this, John and Denise will remember, in Nepal in 1990, when he said, now I want to teach you the practice of just sitting. Remember, Denise? Explain. You remember what he said? And this is a real secret of Shaivism. This verse, which we had before in the meditation course, about how just sitting, and not closing your eyes, not opening your eyes fully, and just sitting. And I remember asking Swamiji said, no, this is just sit. But only do one thing. Be conscious of sitting perfectly still and straight. That's all you have to do. Don't do any practice. There was no practice. Don't watch your breath. Just sit. And it's funny because when he did the verses of discipline and practice, at the beginning of that, he gave this little secret that sounded like it was a technique to overcome distraction, but actually it was the supreme technique. He said, if you can't meditate properly, just sit still. He said, perfectly still for 2 hours. He said, and after 2 hours, he didn't say you'll go into practice. He said, you'll sink into that state.
Right.
And yeah. And that's what Bhairava explained to Bhairavi at the beginning of the Vijnana Bhairava. He said the practice is so simple, it's difficult. It's so simple, it's difficult. So we have to give you some sweetmeats. He said, because people can't do it. It feels like poison. Even Swamiji said, it feels like poison in the beginning. You're just sitting really still and not moving, but you're not doing any practice, and you're spinning around in your head. And Bhairava said, so I have to give, how did Swamiji explain it, John? He said, I have to give you sweetmeats, like giving a child a medicine.
Yeah. No,
Give him a sweet first. He said the 112 practices are just sweetmeats to come to the realization that there's nothing to be done. And that's what anuttara, that's what this anupaya is. That's why it's the highest state.
But he also said, Swamiji said, you should meditate though. You go ahead and meditate.
Yeah, I think he only did that as an illustration, just to show us that, he used to do that every now and again. Don't you remember, John? He would say meditation is fraud. He'd pull the rug from under your feet when you felt you were having some really good experience. He said, meditation is fraud. He said, what are you meditating on? You are Shiva. Just realize that. And he would do that to give you a truce. But then he would turn around and say, like Denise just said, but you have to meditate. You can't, in Anavupaya, you have to meditate to come to that realization that there's nothing to be done. That's why these verses are so, this Anuttarastika, which we're going to go through, is quite
There's
profound.
a question by Al and Annie.
In the chat?
Yeah, and he had his hand up for a while. I don't know if you want to say something.
Sorry, Al, I didn't see it.
No worries. I was just wondering about the relationship between Anuttara and Paramashiva. It seems like they may be talking about roughly the same thing.
It seems that way, but yeah. John, what do you think?
I think that, that concepts like Paramashiva and so forth, that's the thing he's getting at here, that you can't think it's this way or that way or anything, So you can't name it and you cannot name it. You can't. So, it's all beyond speech. So it's just beyond conception of any sort. So, because we want to do that. Is this Paramashiva? Is this Shakti? Is this my own nature? What is this about? Those are all just words and concepts, and they're not anything like that. Let's listen to this Anuttarastika, otherwise we're not going to have time to get finished.
Yeah, okay. We can move on to that. Let's go back to share this. So I'm going to recite the verses. You can recite along as best you can, my gravelly voice. And I'll read out the first one, and then Denise, you can read out the rest of the meanings after each verse.
All right.
I'll read out the first one though. Okay. Om, and try your best to, because the meter of this is quite beautiful and quite sweet. And Swamiji said, Abhinavagupta always, for something that was very profound, he always changed the meter to a more flowing, elongating the vowels to somehow push you inside. Om saṁkrāma bhāvana kathā yukti dhyāna cha dhyanam vāna cha dhāraṇā cha japā abhyāsa prayaso cha tat kim nama sunishchitam varaparam satyam chatat sruyatam natyagi naparigrahi bhajasukam sarvam yatavastita. In this highest state of Supreme God consciousness, anuttara, there is no need of spiritual progress, saṁkrāma, no contemplation, bhāvana, no art of expression, kathā, no investigation, yukti, no meditation, dhyāna, no concentration, dhāraṇā, and no recitation, japā, or exertion or practice, abhyāsa. Tell me then, what is the supreme and well-ascertained truth? Listen indeed to this. Neither abandon nor accept anything, enjoy everything, remain as you are. Samsārostina tattvatas anubretam bandasya vartaivaka bandhoyasya nujatu tasya videta muktasya mukti kriya mityamoha krideshara jubujaga chaya pishacha brahmo makim chit yajama grihana vilasa swasto yatavastita. Denise.
In reality, there is no such thing as birth and death, samsara. So how can the question arise of bondage for living beings? There never was any such bondage for the one who is entirely free, and therefore to struggle for liberation is useless, and nothing more than delusion. Like a dark shadow seen as a demon, or a rope mistaken as a snake, it is all based on deceitful perception, which has no substance. Neither abandon nor accept anything. Remain as you are, well established in your own self.
Puja puja ka puja beda sarani keyam katanu tare saṁkrāma kilakasya kena vidade kova pravesha krama mayeyam na chid advatat mayeyam na chid advayat parataya bina pyahovartate sarvam swanubhava swabhava vimalam chintam mritama krita. Denise, you must be muted.
Muted, sorry. In the oneness of that supreme state of anuttara, what talk can there be? And what differentiated path of adorer, adored, and adoration? To whom and by what means could a progression function? Or what could constitute the succession of penetrating into the self? Wonder of wonders. Though it appears differentiated, this illusion is no other than consciousness, one without a second. Everything is nothing but the pure essence of your own self-experience. So why worry in vain?
Just before I do the next verse, I want to go back here because Swamiji he said something one time which was very interesting. This one where he says, neither abandon nor accept anything, enjoy everything, remain as you are. And in the first verse again, it started, that was the first verse. And the second one he said, neither abandon or accept anything, remain as you are, well established in your own self. And in anupaya, which There's nothing to do. Swamiji said that means remain in the junction. Don't reject the breath coming in. Don't reject the breath leaving. Remain in the junction. He said that is the whole point of Shaivism, to find that junction and have it open up, and eventually realize that, you know, it was always there. So, next verse. Anando tranavetam adyam adavan naivan gana sangavat dipakendo krita prabha prakaravan naiva prakāhisho daya harsha sambrita beda mukti sukhabhur bhāravatārupama sarva dvaita padasya vishmrita nidhe prapti prakāshodaya.
One cannot compare the bliss of this state to the intoxication of wealth or wine, nor to the union with one's beloved. And the brilliant flow of light is unlike the collection of rays from a lamp, the sun or the moon. This excessive joy of the self is comparable only to the weight of that blissful state which descends when one gets liberated from all differentiation. The flow of the Supreme Consciousness is the state of universal oneness, which is nothing other than your own treasure abode that you had temporarily forgotten.
Raga dvesha sukha sukho dayalaya hankara dainya dayo ye bhava prabhibanti vishva vapusho pina swabhava nati vyaktim pasyasi yasya sahasa tatta tadekatmata samvirupam aveksha kim naramase tat bhāvana nirbhara.
Attraction and repulsion, pleasure and pain, rising and setting, self-confidence and depression. All these states with which the universe is formed shine as mutually different, but in reality, they are not. Therefore, whenever you perceive something specific, at that very moment, you should perceive the essence of your own consciousness as one with that. Why not take delight in the fullness of that awareness?
Purva bhava bhava kriya hi sahasa bhava sadasmin bhave madhyakara vikara sankaravatam tesham kudasatyata nisati chapale prapancha nichaye swapna brahme peshale shankara tanka kalanka yukti kalana tita prabodho bhava.
In this world, the totality of objects appear eternally in the present moment. For example, the activity of universality has no previous or future existence. The differentiation of past and future is based on the unlawful pervasion of an intermediate state, which is unreal, transient, and fraudulent. It is nothing more than a heap of appearances, like the illusion of a dream. Remain above the defect of differentiated time, which has been wrongfully forged by the stigma of doubts. Hence, be awakened.
Bhavanam na samudbhavosti sahajas tvat bhavita bantyami nisatya apisatyatam anubhava brandhya bhajanti ikshanam tvat sankalpaja esha visha mahima nasti tat sankalpaja esha vishva mahima nastyasya janma anyata tasmat tvam vibhavena basi bhuvane svekopyanekatmaka.
For the insentient, there is no outflow of objective things, for those are manifested only when experienced by you. Though deprived of reality, they share reality in one instant through our erroneous perception. Thus, the greatness of this universe arises from your own imagination. It does not take birth from anything else. Therefore, you alone shine in all these worlds, and though unique, you become many by your own glory.
Yat satyam yadasatyam alpa bahulam nityam nanityam chayat yanmayam alinam yadatma vimalam chidar parne rajate tatsarvam savimarsha samvidudayat Rupa prakashatmakam gyatva swanubhava diruhurda mahima vishveshvaratvam bhaja.
Real or unreal, small or plentiful, eternal or momentary. What is colored by the illusion of differentiation, and what is pure in one's own self? In reality, this universe rising from your own consciousness and becoming one with your essence appears glorified in the mirror of consciousness. Having ascertained the sublime essence of the universe and having understood its greatness, is based on your own self-experience. Enjoy universal sovereignty.
This was a letter that John shared with us that he had written to Swamiji and about when he went back to the US with Denise and everybody. But this was in '89. And John, you can explain it, but Denise, you can read. This was Swamiji's reply to John's letter. And we have the original there, but this is basically what was said. So Denise, you want to read out? And
yes.
The last part is based on the second verse of Anuttarastika.
Actually, individuals are not separate from God consciousness. This is the swatantriya, independent free will of God, that in one way you will see that Lord Shiva is worshiping God while remaining in samadhi. And in another way, that Lord Shiva himself is himself, all-pervading, and he has no other God to worship. So, my dear John, being worshipped and to worship are both his playful actions of the drama of his swatantriya Shakti. Abhinavagupta has this connection pinned down from one beautiful shloka in his stotra, Anuttarashtika, yeah. In reality, the question of samsara, repeated births and deaths, does not arise. So where is the possibility of being involved in the wheel of bondage to any individual? So when there is nothing in this world which would bind you or entangle you in bondage, what is the need then for you to get rid of bondage and become jivan mukta, liberated? So this false notion must be shunned altogether, that I have not done any meditation, so I am still jiva, individual, entangled in Maya. So you should neither shun anything or have and accept anything. Think you are yourself, Lord Shiva, and what was to be achieved is already achieved, and reside in the state of Swatantriya Shakti. So we're already there, and we always already had been.
Sorry that we raced through this, but it sort of goes with the flow of one recitation, but there's so much in it. And Swamiji he actually gave this verse out to the Kashmiri devotees in the Kashmiri translation that he did in 1970s or 80s. And he said to all of his devotees, he said, if you can't meditate or you can't do anything, you're caught up in your, at least recite this verse once a day, he said. Recite these anuttarashtika. Ashtaka is 8 verses on the state of anuttara, or the undescribable. And there were still devotees that were doing it to this day. They said they remembered that Swamiji said that to give everybody a chance just to imbibe themselves in the fact that they should always think, even though you're downtrodden, you always think that you're Shiva, even in downtrodden state.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah.
Do we have enough time to look at verse 7, the translation? I found that really interesting. Like, I kind of reread it a couple times, and if we pull it up, I just wanted to look at it together. So for the insentient, there is no outflow of objective things. So what I'm thinking there is, like, for a rock, it's not perceiving anything. But for those who are manifested only when experienced by you, meaning only me or you or us, we're going to give meaning to this rock. So though deprived of reality, they share reality in one instance through our erroneous perception. So what I like about that is, like, even in our illusion or differentiation, it's kind of giving reality to that. It goes on to say, though the greatness of this universe arises from your own imagination. So kind of like our perception of seeing the objective things and giving our own interpretation, that's creating differentiation and illusion. But at the same time, I think they're saying here that that's kind of the grace of Lord Shiva, like we're becoming kind of Lord Shiva in creating this universe through our own illusion. That's the way I'm reading this. And then it goes on to say, it does not take birth from anything else, but really us. Therefore, you alone shine in all these worlds through you, though unique, and you become many by your own glory. So what I find interesting is our own kind of illusion, our own Maya, our own differentiation that we create all the time is actually Shiva creating this universe. So we create the universe of illusion, and it's actually Shiva. I mean, that's how I'm reading this, and that's how I see kind of sadhana in a way, is that we have to come to a recognition that we're creating our own universe. And even though it's differentiation, we have to see that as Shiva. We have to see that as non-dual. And anyway, I found that verse really kind of insightful. The first time I've seen it, so that's my take on it. I might be in left field, but
that is beautiful. And then he sums it up in the very first sentence of the next verse, where he says, real or unreal, small or plentiful, eternal or momentary, what is colored by the illusion of differentiation, and what is pure in one's own self. In reality, this universe rising from your own consciousness and becoming one with your essence appears glorified in the mirror of consciousness. Pratibhimbavada. And Swami said, for the insentient, there is no outflow of objective things. That's what Swami once said. He said, the sun doesn't know it's the sun.
Yeah.
A rock doesn't know it's a rock. So the rock doesn't see the mountain that's, that's above it, that it's sitting at the base of. They're only experience. For those are manifested only when experienced by you. And Peter, beautiful what you pointed out.
I mean, it's just like seeing our own illusion, like we're creating this world all the time. We're creating this differentiation. And that's the act of Shiva, even though it's kind of painful for us because we're seeing it all as different. And then when we wake up, we find out that it was all one, and it was, but it was Shiva all the time. Anyway, so to me, that's kind of the essence of our sadhana through our meditation, through the gap in the breath, is that's what gets revealed, is that we've created this whole thing. Nobody did anything ever to us other than our own imagination, our own projection, our own, tapestry that we created. And each person has their own tapestry, their own creation. But it's all Shiva. It's all, anyway, that's my take on it.
So George, is it in summary, it's just you. And since it is already there, so you have to be silent to understand you?
No, I don't fully understand.
So the understander is you. So in the end, the whole thing is only you, right?
Wait, by saying you have to say Shiva. Don't say you.
You by
because
means you are that. So
yes.
Shiva and you are differentiating there.
Yes.
So
yes.
just you.
Yeah.
Understander is you, nobody else.
By the time you get to that level, Swamiji would say there is no you, there's only Shiva. By the time you get to that understanding, you have disappeared, you become Shiva, and you become everybody else, not just Shiva. You become the whole universe.
So you have to be on that path of meditation and rigor and all those things, or it just happens by mere, since it is already there and you are silent, it just happens.
Well, what Denise said, Denise,
there are different, there are different levels of grace. Some is intense, others are not so intense and slower. And we all have different levels of grace, but we all have grace. We know that now because we're studying these scriptures of Swamiji's.
Very good.
Yeah. And he said Shaktipat can happen in an instant, or it can happen sequentially, like, folding, unfolding. But it has to be your own grace. That's what Swamiji said, that in the Bhagavad Gita, it doesn't come from above, it doesn't come from below or on the sides, it comes from within you. You have the grace to grace yourself because you are Shiva. That's the dichotomy of, or as John says, that's the conundrum of of the path,
And it's
go ahead. No, Denise, go ahead.
And he stressed that it's because we don't want it. If we really, really wanted grace, it would come. But we're busy doing this and that and whatever, just like I said before. But it's it blocks us from it.
Beautiful.
And there's also this verse, you have to understand the environment in which Abhinavagupta was at the time when he was, at his at his forefront when he was teaching, or 1100 years ago or so. And he was coming out, it was just 100 years of coming out of a very intense period of the Vaishnava tradition, the Buddhist tradition, which had a lot of was very, very ritually based. And he just wanted to just give everything, and show that when you're doing puja, no problem to do puja, but understand what you're doing. Understand that the worshipper, and they're all one. And even Swamiji was asked about building the temple, because Shaivite masters never really left any physical structures. But Swamiji, and John and Denise must know this, that in 1980 or 81, he started to build the foundation for the temple. And he did it for two reasons. Swamiji's master, who was quite a wealthy landowner, I went right through the whole area where he used to have rice paddies, and he used to collect taxes on his own land. He left Swamiji with, in his will, he left Swamiji all of his money, which Swamiji put into a bank account and never touched it from 1942, when his master passed away, up until 1980, so almost 40 years. He kept that in an account, and he would go, John will tell you, he went to the bank and he would always make sure that the interest of that money got paid. And at the end, he said, I wanted to build this temple with the money that I'd inherited from my master. He wanted to leave that for the purpose of, and people come and they want, how do I do the puja that Swamiji did? How do I do like this? Swamiji gave a little booklet of the puja that he did. And in his puja at the end were all of the verses from our Sunday puja. He finished his puja, which was like an hour, and then there was another hour of recitation. And he said, to make the gods happy who I've invited. And at the end is a sloka. Okay, I've invited you all here. I've worshipped you. I've sang the songs that you like. Now you can go back to your various abodes of the universe and do your daily chore, like that. So one person came and said, Swamiji, I don't know anything about this puja, but I love to go into your temple. What do I do? He said, just take one loader of water, pour it on Shiva Lingam, have one flower, put it there, and recite, just whatever, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Jumsa Amriteshwara. That's, he said, there, but know that you're doing it from inside yourself. Know that you're not worshipping something outside yourself. This Shiva Lingam and this yoni that's there, it exists in your heart. And that's why we did this in the Tantra Loka, that Vyakta, and Avyakta Lingam. What is the real meaning of this Shiva Lingam? So Abhinavagupta wanted to, bring everything back to saying that, you can go to temple, fine. If you don't go to temple, fine. But understand where you stand.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, everyone.
Yes. Good to see everybody's smiling faces, even though they're mainly pictures right now. But
Yeah. And we hope to see you on Saturday and Sunday for the puja. So God bless you one and all. Thank you again and again.
And thanks for your beautiful recitation, Annie.
Yes, very nice.
Yes.
Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev.
Thank you.
Namaste Rudra Rupe, Ore Jyot Gore Jo,